Hello everyone, welcome to your tab and welcome to another session of Perspective 360 degree where we do current affair based answer writing practice. And as a part of this session, basically we are going to talk about the recent guidelines or directions that have been launched by the RBI, which is RBI Digital Lending Directions 2025. This is something that we are going to discuss as a part of this session, but before we do that, please confirm in the chat box whether my voice is audible to all of you or not. Is audio, video, everything is fine? Just confirm it so that we can begin with the session. Fine. So I think it is clear. Okay. So basically RBI has launched the directions. So as a part of this session, we are going to talk about the different features with respect to these directions, but we are going to cover them from descriptive point of view. If you want to see the other details, you can watch this session that has been taken by Kritika ma'am yesterday only, so you can watch that also. But as far as the descriptive paper is concerned, these guidelines are important and we are going to talk about these things as a part of this session. Fine. So first of all, what do we mean by digital lending? Digital lending basically means, in a very simple language, digital lending means offering loans through digital platforms, offering loans through digital platforms. For example, using the mobile apps, it can be using the websites or the other type of different platforms. Now the RBI has released this digital lending direction 2025 because of different type of reasons, different type of concerns that are there in this digital lending ecosystem. For example, the fraudulent activities that have been happening. For example, the overcharging by these digital lending platforms. For example, it can also be the case of lack of transparency, or it can also be the issue of, I would say, the exploitative activities because of the lack of the implementation of the regulatory measures. So exploitative activities that are there as a part of this ecosystem. So keeping in mind these kind of challenges, what the RBI has done, RBI has brought this digital lending directions 2025. Now the thing is that before also similar kind of directions were there, but these recent directions, they are going to supersede the previous directions. For example, these ones, you can see the guidelines on digital lending 2023. Apart from that, the guidelines on default loss guarantee in digital lending. So these are the different type of guidelines, I would say, that have been repealed and they have been superseded by this digital lending directions 2025. I hope the picture or the background with respect to these directions is pretty much clear to you up till here. Now let us move forward. Let us see the expected question for today, which is very much straightforward, that discuss the key highlights outlined in the RBI Digital Lending Directions 2025. So the answer to this question you have to write within 600 words that carry 15 marks. And we are going to see in a step-by-step manner that what all does it include. So talking about the first part, which is nothing but the introduction, since the question is directly about the digital lending guidelines only, so we are going to touch upon those areas. So the RBI's digital lending directions 2025, as I told you, that they aim to regulate the growing digital lending ecosystem to ensure transparency, to protect consumer rights, and also to promote the fair practices. And these guidelines introduce measures for better monitoring for digital lending apps, emphasize the borrower protection. So you can see different type of stakeholders are there. Firstly, there are apps, the applications through which they provide you the digital lending, then the borrower protection, that is the second stakeholder, then the compliance with the regulatory norms, apart from that to ensure transparency among the lenders, and also the third party service provider. Who are this third party service provider? We are going to discuss very soon. Fine, in the upcoming context we are going to see who are these third party service providers. But I hope the content of the introduction is clear to you, keeping in mind the background of these directions. And now let us move on to the next part, which is basically the body part that is there as a part of this answer. Now when we talk about the body part, first of all let us see that basically how this digital lending directions 2025 define the term digital lending. We have seen in a layman manner that digital lending means offering loan through digital platform, but how in the official terms, in the most explanatory manner, how they have defined the term digital lending. So basically, as per these directions, digital lending means a remote and automated lending process, largely by use of seamless digital technologies for consumer acquisition. Consumer acquisition means process of acquiring and attracting the new borrowers. So how basically the different companies are attracting the new borrowers, what type of approach they are using, it is going to be regulated. Then the credit assessment also, which basically means to assess the credit worthiness, of the borrowers using data driven practices or data driven methods, and that's how we do the credit assessment. And this is also taken into consideration as far as the definition of the digital lending is concerned. Then how the loan is being approved, and once the loan has been approved, how it is being dispersed to the borrowers, this is also being considered. Then how the loan is recovered, for example if there is a person who is not able to repay the loan because of his different circumstances, so how that bank or how that company is going to recover that loan from a certain borrower. These things are also have been considered as a part of this digital lending process. And last but not the least, basically the associated customer service. For example, if there is a certain type of borrower who has a different type of concern, he has a different type of complaint, so whether the fair platform has been provided to him or her or not, that is also taken into consideration as a part of it. So these are all the keywords that are mentioned as a part of this digital lending definition, and I hope all these keywords are pretty much clear to all of you. Fine, very much easy to understand. Now let us move on to the second component, the second highlight as a part of this digital lending directions 2025. So over here, these guidelines or these directions basically are targeting the comprehensive coverage. What do we understand by comprehensive coverage? Basically it means that these guidelines or these directions are including the different type of stakeholders that are there as a participant within this digital lending ecosystem. For example, different type of regulatory entities or the stakeholders. For example, the commercial banks. The commercial banks, we know they are involved in the digital lending process. They can be all India financial institutions also, and apart from that they can be the NBFCs also. So all these type of different regulated entities, so these are the regulated entities that we are talking about. So these are the ones basically that are involved in this whole digital lending transaction. They provide this different type of digital lending services to the borrowers, and that is why these directions aim to cover these different type of regulated entities, which means the commercial banks, AIFIs, and also the NBFCs. Fine, so that we can cover them in a comprehensive manner. The third point is public directory of digital lending apps. Now what do we mean by that? This is pretty much interesting. Fine. Now as far as the directions are concerned, what the RBI wants, basically the primary aim of this direction is that as a part of the digital lending platform, the borrowers have access to fair practices. Fine, they do not get trapped into any kind of fraudulent activities, and we know that these days a lot of online scams are also happening as a part of digital lending. For example, over there, in the initial part of the session I pasted a screenshot. The Chinese syndicates to keep hurting India via loan app scams. So such type of scams are happening, with which the borrowers, they fall into the trap of fraudulent activities, and RBI does not want it to happen. And in order to prevent this, RBI has brought what? They have brought this specific feature, which is public directory of digital lending apps. Now what do we mean by that? Basically RBI wants a different kind of regulated entities. For example, we have regulated entities like banks, we have all India financial institutions. Fine, but when I say banks, it means the commercial banks that are there. Apart from that, we have the NBFCs also. Now these banks or these NBFCs use different type of applications. Fine, they use different type of applications in order to serve the purpose of digital lending. Now let us say you have downloaded any certain kind of app that is from a certain type of platform. Now this app, let us say, is a fraudulent app. This app is a fraud, but you do not know. You go and you apply, and you are meeting different type of terms and conditions, also sort of things, and that app is also not regulated by the RBI. But how you will come to know that? So in order to address this problem, basically what the RBI has done, RBI has made it mandatory for the different type of regulated entities to establish this public directory of digital lending apps. So what do we mean by that? Basically RBI wants this REs to create this public directory. Now as a part of this public directory, what this public directory is going to include? This public directory is going to list, all different kind of lending apps that they are using in order to offer the loans. So for example, if there is bank X, let us say there is SBI. Fine, just for the sake of example, SBI using some XYZ type of app, or maybe it is using 2 to 3 type of apps in order to providing digital lending. So what the SBI will have to do, all the apps that the SBI is using, it will have to put as a part of this public directory. it will have to put as a part of this public directory. Now where this public directory will be available, there should be a certain single platform where the borrowers can go, the consumers can go, and they can look that okay, this is the public directory, and here different apps are enlisted. These are the apps that are the official apps of these banks, and these are the apps that are regulated by the RBI also. Now what is a single platform? Basically this single platform is nothing but the RBI website. Fine. So on the RBI website, this public directory, it will be attached, and consumers can go or the borrowers can go, they can open the public directory and they can see the list of different apps that have been registered. Fine. So it is mandatory for all these regulated entities to submit their the list of that apps that they are using as a part of this public directory. I hope the point is pretty much clear to you. Now let us just read the lines. Let us just try to understand. So to combat fraudulent practices and enhance transparency, the RBI has mandated the creation of public directory. Now I hope you know what do we mean by this public directory and what is the purpose of it. Listing all DLAs. DLAs means digital lending apps developed by the regulated entities. Regulated entities means मैंने तो बार-बार बता दिया that it means banks, it means NBFCs and different type of all other institutions that are involved in this process. Fine. Now this directory will be accessible on the RBI's website and will be updated regularly based on the data submitted by the regulated entities through the centralized information management system portal. So RBI has created this portal कि इस पोर्टल में आओ, जो जो ऐप्स आप अपनी यूज कर रहे हो यहाँ पर डालो और फिर यहाँ से आप कहाँ चले जाएंगी, हमारी पब्लिक डायरेक्टरी में चले जाएंगी और पब्लिक डायरेक्टरी से me and you, different consumers, they can go and look into it. Fine. So that is the idea, that is the intention behind it. Now the fourth point. The fourth point is enhance the consumer protection measures. Now as a part of this digital lending directions, RBI has also taken different type of consumer protection measures. What are these? So basically the first one is cooling off period. Fine. So the cooling off period is there. Cooling off period basically refers to minimum 1 day period. Fine. It refers to minimum one day period after a borrower takes out a loan. For example, let us say you have taken the loan from a digital lending app. आपने कोई ऐप डाउनलोड की, वहां से लोन ले लिया. Now, after let us say 1 day, you decided that I have committed the mistake by taking the loan from this app. I should not have taken that, and I want to opt out from this loan. So generally what these companies do, for example, if you have taken the loan from these companies, if you have taken the loan from that app, then these companies are going to charge you penalty if you are cancelling your loan. If you are cancelling your loan, what is going to happen? They are going to charge you penalty. But as per the recent provision, now this penalty is not going to exist. Fine. So why it is not going to exist? Because RBI is providing you this 1 day cooling off period. 1 day cooling off period means, for example, today is 14th of May. On 14th of May, you have taken a loan. Now you will be provided the cooling period of 1 day. 1 day means 24 hours. So till 15th of May. So till 15th of May, if you are exiting, or in other words, if you are cancelling your loan application, then you won't be charged any kind of penalty. What you will have to pay? You will just have to pay the principal amount, and you just have to pay the proportionate interest. Fine. You have to pay the proportionate interest and the principal amount. These are the two things that you only have to pay. When I say proportionate interest, it basically means that basically, for example, let us say you have taken 10,000 rupees loan. Fine. And the loan is of 12%. Now this 12% is based on the annual is on annual basis. Fine. It is annually. So based on that, basically they are going to calculate I would say the 1 day interest rate, and based on that 1 day interest rate, you are going to pay along with the principal to that certain kind of app or the platform from where you have taken the lending. Fine. So this is the purpose of it. This is the purpose of this cooling off period, which is of how many days? It is of 1 day only, and no penalty will be charged if you are cancelling your loan application during this period. Fine. So I hope this point is also pretty much clear to all of you. आगे चलते हैं. The next is key fact statement. Now what do we mean by key fact statement? Key fact statement is nothing but it is a standard document that must be given to the borrowers from the side of the app or any kind of the lender or lending platform. Basically this KFC or the key fact statement includes all the different kinds of terms and conditions with respect to the or you can say the details with respect to the loan contract. For example, it can include the information related to APR, which is annual percentage rate. It can include the repayment schedule also. It can include the fees, the grievance redressal mechanism. All such sort of things will be included as a part of this key fact statement in a detailed manner. Why is it so? So that the borrower knows about all the different kind of criteria. He is aware about all the different kind of things in the most transparent manner. And in order to protect the rights of the borrowers, this key fact statement is mandatory. Fine, they are to be provided by the different kind of borrowers. The third is the transparent disclosures. Very basic point, that all fees and charges that are being charged, they have to be disclosed upfront. Nothing should be kept opaque. Fine, so that there is total 100% accountability with respect to the loan contract. So these are the things that have been taken in order to enhance the consumer protection measures. I hope these points are also pretty much clear to all of you. Now let us move forward. The next point is regarding the regulation of digital lending service providers. Fine. So when we talk about digital lending service providers, they are nothing. For example, let us say if this is a certain type of bank, this is a certain type of bank, and this is a certain type of borrower. Now what this bank do? They basically appoint these lending service providers. These are nothing but the third party. These are the third party service providers. And what is the role of the third party service providers? Their only and only purpose is to facilitate this loan process. Fine, their purpose is to facilitate this loan process. Now please understand that when I say their purpose is to facilitate the loan process, please understand that this facilitation does not include any kind of dealing with the funds. This lending service provider, they are not going to deal with funds in any manner. They are just going to act as a digital platform. You must have heard about peer-to-peer lending platforms. Peer-to-peer lending platforms can also be an example of this lending service providers. Fine, because peer-to-peer lending platforms are also a type of platform that act as a facilitator. They act as an intermediator, but directly they do not involve in any manner with respect to the funds. Fine, so that is the idea. Now we are talking about what? We are talking about the regulation of these lending service providers, because RBI wants to take care that these lending service providers are not involved in any kind of fraudulent activities. So in order to ensure that, what we have a specific provision with respect to regulation of this lending service providers. Now let us see that what are the specific provision. So point number one, the REs mean the regulated entities, for example the banks or the NBFCs, whoever are involved in the lending mechanism, who are the original lender. So basically these REs are responsible for ensuring that any LSP, which means lending service provider, or DLA, digital lending app, fine, they engage with or comply with the RBI guidelines. So basically it is a duty of the regulated entities. It is a duty of the regulated entities, which means the banks or different NBFCs, that to ensure that basically these LSP or the DLAs, they are complying with the RBI guidelines. Fine, so that basically any kind of fraudulent activity does not happen. Apart from that, when we say that they have to comply with the RBI guidelines, this means that to ensure that LSPs do not have control over the flow of funds between the borrowers as well as the lenders. Fine, so whatever transaction that is happening between the borrowers and the lenders, these LSPs should not have any control with respect to fund. As I told you, they are going to play the role of the facilitator only. The last point is that LSPs must not charge borrowers directly for any kind of fees. All payments must be made directly by the REs. I hope this point also makes sense to you, that since they are not involved in any kind of fund, so they are also nobody to charge you any kind of fee or any kind of penalty. Fine, so all the payment, all the kind of penalty or all the such kind of charges have to be obtained directly through the regulated entities only, which means the banks. Fine, so I hope the point is clear to you. The next point is basically related to the operational and the reporting requirements. So over here, first of all, the thing is that the regulated entities that are there, they must report to the credit information companies. Credit information companies, for example, you must have heard about companies like CIBIL, fine, or Experian. Different type of companies are there, and they are credit information companies. The job of this credit information company is that to track your credit history. Fine, so whatever your credit history is there, it is going to track it on, and on the basis of this credit history, you are given the CIBIL score also. Fine, so different type of CICs are there. So what these REs have to do, which means the banks, what the banks have to do, they are mandated to report to these CICs. So for example, let us say you have taken any kind of loan from a certain type of bank through a digital lending platform. So the moment you take the loan, these banks, what they have to do, they have to provide this information with respect to this loan to this credit information companies. Fine. So that these credit information companies, they have the most updated picture of a borrower's credit profile, and that is the intention behind it, and that is why we have this specific provision. I hope this is clear to you, that how it is a part of operational and reporting requirements as a part of digital lending directions. Now moving on to the next point. The next point is regarding the recovery practices. When I say recovery practices, basically it means, for example, if you become a defaulter, you have taken a loan from a digital lending platform and you were not able to pay the loan. So what these companies are going to do, they are going to come and they are going to try different kind of mechanism in order to recover the loan from you. Now RBI wants to ensure that when the recovery process is happening, it should happen in a fair and transparent manner, and also there should be clear communication between the borrower as well as the lender. And in order to ensure that, we have this specific provision with respect to recovery practice. So regulated entities, they must ensure that the recovery agents are assigned only when the loan becomes delinquent. Delinquent basically means when the borrower has missed the payment. When the borrower has missed the payment, then we say that the loan has become delinquent. Fine. And when the loan has become delinquent, which means the borrower has missed the payment or he is behind the loan, so what he has to do, what this recovery agent has to do, only then they must communicate the details of such a borrower agent to borrowers before initiating contract. Fine. And before that, these regulating entities, these banks cannot share the details with the recovery agent. Fine. Otherwise, what will happen? These recovery agents, they will keep on texting you, they will keep on sending you SMS, they will keep on calling you, and sometimes this leads to the harassment of that certain kind of borrower. So, and RBI does not want it to happen. So before the time you do not miss the payment, these banks or these regulated entities are not allowed to share your information with the recovery agents. Fine. And this is something that is mandated as a part of this digital lending directions. I hope it is clear to you. Now the last point. The last point is regarding the co-lending arrangement. Co-lending arrangement basically means when two or more regulated entities, which means two or more bank, it can be either bank 1 plus bank 2, or it can be bank plus NBFC also. Fine. Different kind of regulated entities that are there. So co-lending means when two or more regulating entities, they come together or they partner together and they offer the loan to the borrower. Fine. So they are coming together, they are partnering together in order to provide the loan to the borrower. This is something that we understand by the co-lending arrangement. Fine. Now RBI has provided specific guideline with respect to this co-lending arrangement also, and let us see what it is. So the direction include, these are very simple to understand, by the way. So basically the direction include that there should be clear agreements outlining the term and direction of each arrangement, including the criteria of borrower selection and the share of revenue and risk. Fine. So for example, if there is bank 1 and there is bank 2, fine, or let us say this bank 2, or you can call it, maybe it could be an NBFC also. And now what this bank and this bank 1 and bank 2 are going to do, let us say they are involved in the co-lending arrangement. Fine. And now what should be the clarity? The clarity should be there with respect to the contract, with respect to the agreement. For example, if the borrower, for example, if the bank 1 is lending 70% of the money and bank 2 is lending 30% of the money, so based on this lending, they should be deciding with that what are going to be the risk division. Fine. What is going to be the risk division between the bank 1 and the bank 2? Fine. So all these things are going to be decided in a transparent manner, and all this type of provisions, all this type of provisions that are there as a part of this agreement should also be discussed with the borrower. Fine. They should also be discussed with the borrower, and this is what ensures that the co-lending practices, they happen in the most transparent manner. So there should be clear agreement. Apart from that, there should be compliance with the KYC norms also, and other type of regulatory requirements. And the third point is that it includes the joint responsibility for customer service and the grievance redressal. For example, let us say if you have any kind of complaint with respect to the loan that you have taken from the co-lending arrangement, so it is a duty of both bank 1 as well as bank 2 to come into action and to provide you proper customer service in a joint manner. Fine. And they should provide you proper grievance redressal mechanism, so that if you have any concern, any complaint, that can be addressed as soon as possible in the most fair manner. So that is something that is highlighted as a part of this co-lending arrangement. A very, I would say, pretty much easy to understand. I hope it is clear to you. Now last but not the least, the conclusion. So RBI's digital lending directions 2025 are designed to enhance the transparency, protect borrowers, and ensure accountability in the digital lending sector. Moving forward, it is crucial to ensure strict adherence to these guidelines and adapt them to evolve challenges. And what is the way forward? We need continuous collaboration among financial institutions, regulators, and consumers that will be key to maintaining a secure and fair digital lending ecosystem. So this is something that could be written as a part of the conclusion. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. And this is the blueprint that you have to follow by writing your answer in the form of introduction, body, and conclusion. Somebody was asking me in the last session that should they be writing answer in the form of paragraph or point. So please write your answer in the form of paragraph. Fine. No, sorry. Please try to write your answer in the form of point and not in the form of paragraph. If you're writing essay, then the approach is different. For the essay paper, you have to write it in paragraph manner only. But for this paper, for your paper 1 and paper 3, for that purpose you have to write in point wise manner. Fine. So introduction, as I always say, 10 to 12% of the total word limit, and the same rule with the conclusion, and rest of the word limit for the body part, where you will write your body in the form of the heading and different subheadings, and you will try to add some data, facts, and examples. Fine. And that is the idea. This is the question, the answer of which you have to write in the comment box. And if you wanted to get evaluated, so post it within 48 hours. Fine. So post it within 48 hours if you want it to get evaluated. And that is it from my end. And these are the EduTab blogs that you can follow in order to get informative insights with respect to various competitive exam, and they are going to help you as a part of your preparation. Now let me see the comment box if there is something. अगर पॉइंट्स भूल जाते हैं तो 1 पेज नोट्स बना लो, जैसे कोई भी टॉपिक करा लो, जैसे आज का टॉपिक कराया मैंने, श्वेता इज आस्किंग, सो फॉर दैट पर्पज व्हाट यू कैन डू, यू कैन मेक दिस 1 पेज नोट. एक नोट बना लो, यहाँ पे गाइडलाइन लिख दो, और पूरा का पूरा स्टेटमेंट लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. पॉइंट नंबर 1, डेफिनेशन. ठीक है, डिफाइन क्या किया, सिर्फ कीवर्ड लिखो, जैसे वहां पे लिखा है कि कंप्लायंस है. फाइन. एंड इट इंक्लूड लोन अप्रूवल, लोन डिस्पर्सल, ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल, रिकवरी प्रैक्टिस. ठीक है, सिर्फ कीवर्ड लिखो. उसके बाद पॉइंट नंबर 2, फाइन. सो फॉर एग्जांपल दिस पब्लिक डायरेक्टरी, सो छोटा सा पॉइंट लिख दो कि पब्लिक डायरेक्टरी बोली है. पॉइंट नंबर 3, पॉइंट नंबर 4, ऐसे 5-6 पॉइंट लिख दो बस, ज्यादा प्रिपेयर करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. 5-6 पॉइंट लिख दिया डिस्क्रिप्टिव के लिए, बस द जॉब इज डन. इन्हीं कीवर्ड्स को बार बार रिवाइज कर लेना और आंसर में जाके लिख देना थोड़ा स्टेटमेंट बना के, तो इससे आपका काम आसान हो जाएगा. ऐसे आप बाकी टॉपिक्स के लिए भी कर सकते हो अगर आपके पास टाइम है तो. अगर टाइम नहीं है तो मेरा यही सजेशन होगा, डैट try to revise it multiple times. That is the key. And if you are studying through PDF only, then try to highlight the keywords. You can highlight it fine using the PowerPoint, whatever app you're using. So you can highlight it, and that's how you will be able to retain it for a longer period of time. Fine. And keep revising. Revision is the key. Apart from that, nothing can help you. Revision is the key. And if it doesn't work for you, तो कुछ टॉपिक्स के लिए जो आपको ज्यादा बोलते हैं और आपको इंपॉर्टेंट भी लगते हैं, उनके लिए 1 पेज नोट बना सकते हो. बट प्लीज बहुत ज्यादा टाइम मत लगाना. हार्डली आई वुड से 10 मिनट लगने चाहिए एक टॉपिक का 1 पेजर बनाने में. ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगना चाहिए. ठीक है. सो दैट्स व्हाट यू कैन डू. Yes, but Ravindra, it is something that is regulated. Fees and charges, they are regulated as a part of it. If they are doing any such kind of activity, then the bank is going to charge penalty on them. The RBI is going to come into action. So if there are any chances, then the RBI is going to fix it, and that's why they have brought this public directory feature also, so that whatever I would say different kind of apps that are there, that are listed as a part of this public directory. So in order to bring full transparency, we have brought this. Fine. No idea, Shweta. I don't have any idea. If I will give you any date, that would be a kind of misguidance. I don't want to do that. Fine. So thank you so much and all the best, and keep writing answers. Do write answers. तो हफ्ते में 3 दिन तो लिखना ही चाहिए. तो आप हमारे साथ लिख सकते हो, and you can compare your answer with the fellow aspirants answer also. Fine.